Latinos for Trump. And I won't forget the men Blacks who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next Americans to you for Trump. And defend her still today. We all gotta unite. No doubt I love this land. I guess I'm MAGA. God bless the USA. Go and raise your hands if you tired of this shit. Everything that body touch, boy, you know it turn to shit. Got clowns lining up for their 6 booster. Bring back mean tweets, sheep gas, Trump's moolah. Let's address the elephant in the room. The unvaccinated ain't dying, boy, and that's the proof. America's quarterback exposing the deep state. We know they rigged another one. Shout out to Carrie Lake. When you post the truth, they give you 30 days on Facebook. Liberals tagging Zuckerberg, crying, got their feelings hurt. When you lie to the government, they give you a felony. But they lie to us patriots, political enemies. Yo, it's time to unite, we gotta fight. Yo, it's time to unite. Your enemy is not halfway around the world. They locked us down, destroyed your business, forced a mask on us. Your enemy used the virus to divide all of us. Your enemies white, black, and brown, it's time to unite. White power. Your enemies white, black, and brown, just keep up the fight. Black power. Your enemies white, black, and brown, we all alike. Brown power. Your enemies here. Together we Americans. United we Americans. The media steady lying on Donald Trump. Uncle Trump. If Trump actually did all the things he's accused of doing, he could run as a Democrat. Trump Latino. Blacks for Trump. Blacks for Trump. Where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
What we are dealing with here is pervasive and very, very dark. It's organized, it's well-funded, it's pure evil. They are willing to kill people, a la Kelly Loeffler's aide in Georgia, who was suddenly blown up in his car on the way to a rally for her. He happened to be dating Governor Kemp's daughter. Governor Kemp was considering, I think, at that point, a signature audit. And then the Georgia Bureau of Investigation agent who was investigating that, he was the lead investigator, was suddenly dead within a week. And suddenly we don't hear anything else about any of that. We are talking about trillions of dollars of global wealth at issue here. The leadership and control of the most powerful country on the face of the earth.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to We Talk Freely. My name's Drew Smith, and I enjoy that Latinos for Trump drop there. Thought that was pretty good. But what Sidney Powell was just talking about right there is very scary when you think about it at the end of the day. Because she's right. All that went down and then disappeared from the media. Nobody's talking about it anymore. And now we have Governor Kemp, excuse me, and we have Governor Kemp who doesn't seem to be making any good moves for the Conservative Party, for the GOP, and he is basically our leader of the GOP here in the state of Georgia. He's the candidate that we chose to kind of do what we need as Republicans and conservatives to further our state. Now, our state isn't in bad shape, although we did declare, or Brian Kemp did declare a state of emergency because of the current state of the economy. And I'm not saying that he's doing horrible, horrible job as a governor or anything of the sort, but I do want to see him get more involved in some of these issues that are plaguing our state. Like, especially with what happened up in Fulton County during our last election. And I know I harp about it a little bit on the show, but there's a lot of questions that never got answered at all. A lot of this stuff went before judges, and the judges just decided to throw it out. We never actually got an answer one way or another. If I'm a conspiracy theorist, that's fine. Shut me down with the truth. But if I'm paranoid in the proper way, and there is actually something that's going on, well, I guess paranoid would be a bad word. How about suspicious in the right way, and something is going on, well, I think the American people need to know. At least they want to know, I think. So here I've got an article from the Gateway Pundit, and says, Georgia politicians, blatant cover-up of corruption in State Farm Arena in 2020 election exposed. This is actually a really in-depth article. I'll briefly show you here, like how deep this goes. In the middle of this article is the records of one of the monitors from this whole thing. But let me read a little bit so you can understand what it's talking about. Matt Mashburn shared his comments from a special meeting with the State Elections Board with local media outlet 11 Alive on November 23rd, 2020. Georgia State Election Board member Matt Mashburn attempted to address accusations of election fraud in 2020 election in his public statements in a meeting on November 23rd, 2020. He omitted key items and skimmed over other items, all in what to be an effort to cover up the real issues and seeming in the 2020 Georgia presidential election. Bear with me, I'm a little tired today. Worked late last night. Let's see here. It goes on to say, for the first time in the state's history, as part of the settlement complaints against Fulton County arising from the primaries, the state election board appointed an election monitor over Fulton County. This election monitor was allowed to go anywhere he wanted to go and see anything he wanted to see. Mashburn neglected to state what the complaints were that were so serious in the primary that Fulton County was required to have an election monitor located on site during the 2020 election. The fact that this was needed provided evidence that the operations in Fulton County leading up to the 2020 election were in historically terrible shape. They were so bad, quote, for the first time in the state's history, the state election board appointed an election monitor over Fulton County, as said. Mashburn then tried to describe the events that occurred at State Farm Arena on election night. His comments here also were distorted with the evidence of wrongdoing omitted from his presentation. Let's see here. Let me go down here a little bit into just into bits of this report, just kind of give you an idea. At 8:17, after receiving reports all afternoon of election materials not being delivered to polling precincts in a timely manner or at all, SHS receives guidance from Deputy Secretary of State Jordan, I don't know if I can say that, to go to the English Street warehouse, the location from which the Fulton team was distributing poll pads and other election materials. Approximately 9 o'clock, SHS arrives at the warehouse. While pulling into the completely full parking lot, I observed a driver walking back to his car, dragging behind him a rolling bag of poll pad with a bag of election materials on top. As I passed, the top of the top bag fell off and was run over by the poll pad bag. Hopefully nothing breakable in there, I thought to myself. Now there's a lot of stuff in here, and I highly suggest, I'm gonna post all the links to everything that I've got here in the description below on this video. I highly suggest, if you got some time tonight before you go to bed, you want something to read over and go through, there's a lot of information here. A whole lot of information. A lot of things that seem very weird, very odd. He has complaints, and very numerous complaints, about a lot of the events that were going on that night. There's a lot of evidence that is within these documents here, and I highly suggest you spend some time reading it. If I sat here and read this whole thing, this whole information dump on you, we'd be here for hours. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a 7-hour video. Let me see here. But here, this is an example that they show from the article. At 12:08 a.m., I send Ryan insert photo time-stamped image showing that scanners are still working so that he can refute stories to the contrary. And you see he's holding up a little piece of paper there where he wrote the timestamp and everything. Not the clearest thing in the world, unfortunately. Says, order is starting to break down. Ralph newly rescanned some ballots that had already been processed by Shay. Now, if you remember, in a few episodes back, I reported about the whole Ruby Freeman story. And I showed you guys the video of her taking the stack of ballots, putting them on top of the machine, feeding them through. Then when they come out the bottom, she picks them back up, straightens them back out, then puts them right back into the same machine again. And like I said last time, I don't know what the process is. The whole thing looked very suspicious. I was talking to somebody about this earlier today, and I said, hey, if it's a system where when they put them in, that the machine can recheck and re-verify without counting extra votes, then so be it. Then she didn't do anything wrong, or she wasn't instructed to do anything wrong or anything of the sort. But if what we saw in that video was ballots being recounted over and over and over again to pad the numbers, then that's something that really needs to come out. So you have that video of Ruby Freeman, and I can't remember the other young lady's name, but you have that video, and then you have this information here, and you take into account that everyone was sent home. If you remember, there was a water main break that caused everyone to get sent home early. There was no conservative or Republican monitors in place. There was just a lot of things that did not add up properly here. So there's a lot of questions that I personally have as a commentator, and when I talk to people on the streets, they have the same questions too. If there was something weird going on, then we need answers. We need explanations. We need real audits in all of this. Not saying that the election was stolen, not saying that anything like that, not making any definitive determination here, but I would like some answers. It seems weird. It seems sus. And I'd really like to figure something out. But moving on from there, seems to be a little bit more information going on in New York about the immigration problems. I know it's a heck of a jump, but New York's election problems with Mayor Eric Adams seems to be getting worse and worse. According to the Post-Millennial here, only 800 of New York's tens of thousands of illegal immigrants have applied for work authorization. Now, I'm sure you can imagine what problems there would be in this situation, but let's read into it. It has been revealed that out of the tens of thousands of illegal immigrants that have taken over New York City within the past 18 months, less than 2% have applied for work visas. Democrats at every level of government continue to say that getting more work visas will solve the illegal immigration problem in New York. I can see where they're coming from in that. Let me try to meet everyone at the line. If everyone was working and contributing into the economy, that would be great for New York. You know, if there's enough jobs in New York for all these people that are coming up there, it's the sanctuary city and the sanctuary state, you know, think of the amount of tax money that would be generated from that. That's a huge, huge boost. Plus, these people would be able to pay bills, be able to rent apartments or homes or whatever it is that they needed to get, also generating more taxes there as well. And so the people in New York might even see a tax reduction if Democrats would ever let that. But it goes on to say that AOC and other Democrats staged a press conference outside Midtown Manhattan's Roosevelt Hotel on Friday to speak out about work authorizations, more federal funding, and the American dream. But they were shouted down by constituents who very clearly want the border closed. Interestingly enough, a lot of these people were supporters of AOC at one time. They were supporters of Democrats at one time. And they're really fed up. I don't have the video with me. I'm sure you've seen like 20 or 30 of these videos come across your feed. If not, let me know in the comments below, and I'll start Monday's episode off with some of those videos so you can hear how angry these people really are. According to the New York Post, only 800 adult-age illegal immigrants have filed the necessary paperwork required to obtain work visas, which will allow them to start earning a legal wage. Data shows there are roughly 60,000 illegal immigrants currently residing in the Big Apple. As New York City is being overrun with illegal visitors, Democrat Mayor Eric Adams has made it one of his top priorities to fast-track them into obtaining work authorizations, which would help ease the estimated $12 billion strain on New York City taxpayers, like I said. But Adams' plan doesn't seem to be working, and authorities have not yet revealed the exact amount of illegal immigrants that would legally be eligible to work. I mean, roughly 60,000 immigrants. If you got 2/3 of that to contribute into the system, that would put a hefty dent into that, what was it, $12 billion budget strain in a city that was already having some rough issues. You know, you think about it, if a lot of these people are families and they have children, that means those children are going to the schools, which I'd love to see them get a good education. But even with that being said, you have a lot of people that aren't working. They are using the facilities of New York. You know, we reviewed in one of the previous episodes as well on this, talking about how a lot of them are being held up in hotels. They're creating compounds basically on school properties and in parks and everywhere that they can set up some kind of housing or something to take care of these people. But New York City is basically getting overrun. The Post-Millennial, in another article, goes on to say that there's no exit strategy. Biden admin lashes out at New York City over border crisis. It's interesting when the Biden administration is complaining about something they did. As the illegal immigrant crisis in New York City continues, with asylum seekers flooding the city, Mayor Eric Adams has repeatedly blasted the Biden administration for not doing enough to help. The city is overrun with parks, schools, playing fields, and shelters filled. Federal officials, however, have argued that Adams is at fault, accusing him of not having a plan beyond simply putting people in temporary shelters and letting the chips fall where they may. Biden has left the border basically open and admits anyone to the U.S. who claims to be an asylum seeker. Court dates for those border crossers are more than 5 years into the future. Eric Adams And most people in New York, when they said that they'd be a sanctuary city, they were not intending on an open floodgate of people coming in. You know, most of the people that I talk to, they're like, oh, you know, it's just a handful of families, maybe a couple hundred in total, something like that. But like the article said, and the article before said, there's over 60,000 people. You know, I live here in Savannah, Georgia, and that's almost half of our entire city's population in just illegal immigration alone. That's insane. This is actually a pretty big city. And you've got an entire city's worth of people, or half a city's worth of people, all of a sudden showing up on their doorstep. This is where I cross the aisle and I say I do feel bad for Mayor Eric Adams on this one. Because he is trying to do the right thing. He's trying to open up his city to people who need help. But what ends up happening is he's getting flooded. Now, I hope with that being said, that most Democrats will understand what's going on with the border states in southern half of America. These states have been getting overrun with these populations, and now, like I said, you have these floodgates opened up with people just pouring through. Everyone's suffering across the board. Even us here in Georgia, we're not even close to these borders. You know, we're on two different points of where, you know, like Texas and New York is, and we got a lot of people that are showing up here. Like, these people are showing up everywhere, and every single state has to handle that. So while we're dealing with insane inflation, you know, and all the other economic issues that we already have going on, now we have to take on another like small country's worth of people across our entire nation. And this is getting wild. It is getting way out of hand. And then you have LA Mayor Karen Bass talking about this as well. And I'm going to throw the microphone over for just a second. This is a real short clip from Fox.
What they're trying to do is destabilize cities because it's Chicago, it's Washington, D.C., it's New York. It's the narrative that these are Democratic-run cities and that we don't know how to govern and that everything is chaotic here. We live in a city that welcomes immigrants. And so I think we have been able to handle it. But I am fearful that any day planes could start coming.
She's fearful that planes could start coming. She considers LA a sanctuary city, but yet she's fearful of the wave of people coming. You know, no matter which side you're on this, it's a terrifying aspect. Now your city's resources are going to get sucked dry by an all of a sudden wave of people. No, I don't think there's a city in the entire United States that's ready to handle that kind of influx of population. You know, especially people that aren't able to work properly in the system, people that aren't able to pay taxes properly to recover some of the losses of the city, you know, and then, you know, there's a lot of other little trickle-down effects, you know, going back to the kids going to school. You know, I'm hearing that in a lot of places that kids don't have to have the vaccine history, so there's going to be a wave of medical issues that are coming up too, because some of these kids, some of these families may have some of the viruses or infections or things like that. You know, not saying anything derogatory, but it happens. You know, some of these people may have some things that end up becoming very contagious, or some things that may have mutated. And that's going to create a big medical crisis in a lot of these cities as well. So it's just like problem stack, problem stack, problem stack, problem stack. It just keeps stacking up taller and taller and taller until you see just an entire collapse of the systems involved in this. And I really don't think it's not only not fair to the people in those cities, but it's also not fair to the migrants that are coming across our border, illegal or not. You know, if we're opening up our arms to them, if these Democrat cities are saying, hey, you're in a sanctuary here, they need to be able to deliver. And you don't see the Biden administration helping anyone out. The states can't help themselves because many of these sanctuary city states, they're already having financial problems. I mean, look at the majority of California. I forget what it is, but they're like 40-50 billion dollars upside down at the very least. So, you know, where are they getting this money from? You know, that just means our taxes across the board have to then be jacked up. We all have to start spending more money out of nowhere. And then so, lastly here, I've got an article from Newsmax on it. I believe that was the last one. Yeah, okay. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo blamed New York City's migrant crisis on the Biden administration, which I think that blame, you know, full pause here, I think that blame is right. You know, you have to look at the Biden administration. Before we opened up the border wide open for all these people to come flooding in, we had a system that allowed people to trickle through. I know that isn't fast enough for everybody on the outside world that's trying to get in. However, it was at a rate in which each individual state could handle the new residents. You know, like I said before, no state is set up to handle a wave of 60,000 plus people, let alone individual cities. So we kind of need to get back to that point, and I think it's time for the Biden administration to finally wake up. So, and said former President Donald Trump will be able to say he was correct in predicting the national disaster. Cuomo, a disgraced Democrat who resigned in 2021 after sexual harassment allegations, gave a Thursday night speech centering on the government's handling of immigration. Cuomo said Democrats will suffer from Biden's ineptitude in policing the southern border, the New York Post reported. Quote, "It's going to hurt us," Cuomo said. "I'll tell you what Donald Trump is going to say in 4 words. I told you so." He's right. Everything that Republicans and conservatives had called out in the past about this whole immigration debacle, it's all coming true. When you've got Eric Adams over here coming out and screaming about how it's hurting his city, well, I mean, this is exactly what we said was going to happen. If we vote blue no matter who, and we don't look at the policies of what's going on, this is what you get. This is why I tell everyone to do your homework, whether it's a Republican, conservative, independent, libertarian, Democrat, socialist, communist, whatever. Do your homework. Find out what these people are about. Find out if these people have truly done the planning required. Because back in the election time, all these states were talking about how racist Republicans were. And now today, we hear Democrats of all colors saying the exact same thing that those Republicans were saying years ago. Now, where's all the Democrats calling them racist? Where's all the Democrats coming out to condemn the rhetoric and the behavior of people like Eric Adams? All I hear is crickets on that front. You let me know if you've heard differently. Lastly, on that subject, we have Karine Jean-Pierre. And I thought this was interesting. This is directly from the GOP. And I'll let you take a listen.
We are stopping the flow at the border.
Their CBP facilities in the sector are overwhelmed and over capacity right now with so many illegal crossings. Street releases have started. They're running out of places to put these migrants. So you can see some of them are being held outdoors in the Arizona heat in these temporary holding areas that Border Patrol has set up, as they just cannot keep up with the numbers that are coming across the border right now. And it's happening all across the southern border. Take a look at these images. Eagle Pass, Texas, our drone team out there as we continue to witness illegal crossings brazenly in the middle of the day, broad daylight, people just walking through the river into the United States pretty much without any resistance whatsoever.
We are stopping the flow at the border.
Their CBP
So I don't know if you could hear that well, but she says, we are stopping the flow at the border. And you see here on the right side of the screen, you can see my mouse dancing right there. That's a crap ton of people shoved into cages. And what they were just saying is that they're having to quick release these people out of the cages. That's not stopping the flow at the border. That's just putting a really small speed bump in the way. And then you have the Biden administration that's putting people on unmarked buses. And then you have these border states that are also putting people on buses. And so both Republicans and Democrats are just sitting here force-feeding all these people into different cities and different states across the nation. It's not stopping the flow across the border. But let me know what you think below. If any of my information is off, please let me know. I'm always open to check out some links and stuff like that. So if you got YouTubes and different sources that you can show me, please send it my way. Let's have an open talk about this. Is this affecting your city? Where are you from? Let me know. All right, so lastly, I wanted to talk about what's going on with Russell Brand. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the news, or if this has come across your news feed, but Russell Brand is now under fire. If you guys remember the Me Too movement with, was it Michael Kavanaugh? I think that's the right first name. But anyway, with he's one of the Supreme Court judges. He dealt with something very similar to this. And I really wanted to bring this up. I think this is a very interesting topic to talk about. This thing from, I think it's called 4 Dispatches, or Channel 4 Dispatches, basically is saying that there's a handful of women that have come out and they are accusing Russell Brand of some egregious acts here. I don't know if reading those words out loud is allowed on YouTube, but yeah, very nasty types of assault. And it kind of sticks out in my ear a little bit. I'm going to let you guys listen to this, and then I'm going to let you listen to what Russell Brand says. And then after that, I'm going to give it a little bit of review, and then I want you guys to let me know what you think.
And somebody asked what it was regarding, and I said, that's regarding Russell Brand being a sex offender.
He's grabbing at my underwear, pulling it to the side. I'm telling him to get off me, and he won't get off. Like holding me up against the wall, pushing himself in me.
He grabbed me and got me on the bed. I was fully clothed and he was naked at this point, and he held me down and he was just aggressively trying to, you know, me.
I was like, oh my God, he raped me.
He forced his penis down my throat, and I couldn't breathe. It was just choking me. I was crying, and he said, oh, I only want to see your mascara run anyway.
Them blowjobs where mascara runs a little bit. Good.
I've never, ever spoken publicly about this before. Russell seems untouchable.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received two extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff, like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan, when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a spate of articles, Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous, consensual conduct in the past. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives that these two mainstream media outlets are trying to construct, apparently in what seems to me to be a coordinated attack. Now, I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
So yeah, that's a lot of wild accusations against Russell Brand right there. You know, it's tough to see people go through this, but it's you know, right now it's 50-50. You know, who do we believe? Do we believe the accusers or do we believe the defender here? It's tough. It really is. You know, we saw what happened with Kavanaugh, and we saw what the end result of that was. We did see that that was a political attack to smear him and prevent him from gaining his position. Is that the same thing that's going on here? You know, if this was 15 years ago and these accusations came out, I think we'd all be very easy to believe the accusers over Russell Brand. But we've seen accusations like this get weaponized, and it's getting harder and harder to believe the accuser, you know? And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be those kind of people. I don't want to just deny somebody who's gone through some horrible things in their lives, but I can understand. I can understand why people would be skeptical, as I am a little skeptical too. I mean, you got to ask yourself, why didn't these accusers come out sooner? We don't know all the details to the story or anything like that. But at the same time, I could see why the accusers didn't get picked up sooner. Because Russell Brand is somebody who's very famous. He's got some wealth to him. He's got some influence to him. And so people don't want to just start making accusations against him all willy-nilly, you know. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that come out with fabricated stories and that, you know, go after people just like Russell Brand with no history and are just looking to get money and stuff from them. That could be it as well. I've seen, you know, in the local level, I know people that have actually been through things and the law just didn't take them seriously. These kind of stories have so many different angles on them, and it's really hard to tell who's telling the truth, what the true motivations are, you know, what did actually happen. Is this somebody who actually did get hurt, or is this somebody who is just taking advantage of a situation for personal gain? But at the end of all of this, and the reason I bring it up is that you know, for my listeners, for my viewers, I want to say this to you. When we get these kind of stories, we can't jump the gun and jump to conclusions. Always, in our judicial system, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. The Me Too movement and all these different things where people instantly gang up on somebody just because somebody said something, that's wrong. We should believe the accusers to a point, and we should have a full investigation. We should try to churn up as much evidence, and you and I, as observers in this whole thing, we should keep an open mind for both sides of this story. If they come up with evidence and it's proven in court that he did it, then, you know, if you must, make your own judgments. You know, and I'm saying that as a father myself. You know, I gotta say, you know, we have to make sure that we're not listening to false allegations, not making mistakes, you know, just because we're emotionally charged. We got to give everyone an opportunity here to bring the truth forward so we can move forward properly. If Russell is guilty, then, like I said, pass your judgments. But if he's proven innocent, then we need to look deeper into this behavior of making false accusations. And we need to have more conversations about how much harm this actually causes to people who are actually being harmed in those kind of situations. You know, when we have people coming out making false stories, like we saw with Jussie Smollett, which I know isn't the same kind of case, but it's something similar where he fabricated a horrible situation, you know? And then when somebody who actually is harmed comes forward, they're looked at in the same way. Lies hurt everyone, and it creates and sows doubt for a very, very, very long time. And it takes the power away from the victim of real crimes. I hate these situations. You know, I hope the accusers are faking it so Russell is innocent. But at the same time, if he's not innocent, I hope he pays his dues in all of this. It's insanely difficult. And I hope nobody was actually harmed. I truly do. I really hope that this is some kind of political idiotic move to try to cancel culture another mainstream media personality, because somebody like Russell in that situation, he's definitely strong enough, and I think he has a strong enough following that he could easily rebound from this. But until we hear more, that's about all I can say on the subject for now. That's all the information I have. I noticed, and I wanted to bring this up because I noticed that a lot of the articles that I was seeing on X, that I was seeing on Truth, that I was seeing on YouTube, they didn't have the full context of the first video there from Channel 4. They didn't have the words of the women that are claiming to be abused. So I wanted to put those two together and kind of have a quick kind of recap of the situation and talk about it. I hope that nobody is jumping to conclusions in all of this. I hadn't seen a lot yet of people jumping in there, but of course there's those people that just jump the gun immediately and start talking a lot of trash. And that's exactly, in a situation where they're faking and abusing these kind of charges, that's the exact response that they want. They want people to just instantly jump to conclusions. But again, I hope they're not. I hope, yes and no. I hope they're not. Like, if justice needs to be served, I want it to be served. But God, I don't want to know that women or anybody was actually hurt. So, like I said, once I get more information, I'll definitely do a follow-up on this. But that's about all I've got for y'all tonight. I appreciate you tuning in. If you made it to this point in the video, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow. If you're watching me here on YouTube, please go over to Rumble and follow me there. It should be W.T.F official. I've noticed here on YouTube my viewership count has taken a real hard hit out of nowhere, and I'm pretty certain that has to do with the way the YouTube algorithm works. I noticed that the hit came in directly after I started posting my links so you guys could have this information for yourselves. And I think the algorithm has picked up the keywords or the links themselves and has viewed my channel as possibly dangerous or just something that they don't want to be circulated on YouTube. So there's a chance that something may be coming up, or it may be getting harder to find me here on YouTube. But every episode that I post here, I post on Rumble. Rumble, most people know what Rumble is. It's a newer platform. And with the newer platforms, it comes with a little bit of bugs. So you probably won't be able to access the link until like the next morning, because typically I post these a little late in the evening, like it's 7:30 right now. By the time it's uploaded, it'll be about 8:30. But yeah, I'm always posting every single episode over there on Rumble now, and so you'll always be able to find us. If you want to listen to me with your morning coffee or something like that, the show will definitely be there. Monetization has already started over there on Rumble, and I've already started to begin earning. And so anything that helps contribute to this channel, any earnings that I make, help me grow the channel, help me get better graphics and things. If you notice at the beginning of this episode, I had a couple new graphics that I put in there. I hope you guys really enjoyed them. And right now I'm looking to hire some people to improve my graphics and things. These are just some things that I was able to put together for now, but I want to get somebody to really give the show a nice little facelift. And also I'm looking to possibly bring in a co-host here in the near future. This show was actually originally designed to have a co-host, and I would really like it if I can get that person to come back and be a part of it. But the person that we had intentionally had in mind to do it is a part of another show, and also is a part of many other organizations here in Savannah, and they have been very, very, very busy. So I really hope that here in the near future we can get some time, get them involved. We're looking to expand this show more and more every day. I'm very passionate about doing this, and so your feedback is critical. Like I said before, comments are very important here. The show is called We Talk Freely, not I Talk Freely. So I look forward to seeing the comments. I may not be like in a text message back and forth immediately on them, but if you leave me a comment, I typically check the comment section on all these videos about 3 to 4 times a day. So eventually within a few hours I'll definitely get back to you and let you know what I think about what you say. Some people have been coming in and leaving some rude remarks, which is fine. You know, I get it. Hey, we talk freely. If you really got to be rude, that's on you. Just don't expect me to really engage in disrespect or anything like that. I'm not going to come off the handle and be rude to you either. If you say something that seems out of the box or maybe even violates terms of service around here, I'm just going to say something about it, you know, and then move forward. I'm not going to say anything to put anybody down. That's not what we're about. I'm trying to build a nice little medium here, a nice meeting ground of the minds where we can have a great conversation, something really in depth, and maybe get some education out there, because I would love to have Democrats and libertarians and people like that sitting next to me, as well as conservatives and everybody else. But that's on you guys. You know, if you guys want to be a part of this conversation, if you guys want to see this country improve, I think that's really the only way that we can do it. And if we can continue, or if we can start doing that, we can start having these great conversations, we can start boosting the algorithm and get more and more people involved. And you never know, we might end up creating something amazing here where we can get the whole nation involved and we can have nice, honest conversations about all these topics that I've brought up to you tonight and in all the episodes before. You know, I know I'm not right on everything. You know, I'm sure there's some factual things that I've messed up. And, you know, sometimes there's articles that end up changing that I just never even hear about. So your input is really valuable to me. So with that being said, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I appreciate you guys coming here and checking it out. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and like I said, over on Rumble now. So until next episode, which should be Monday, y'all stay safe.